He's got supporters. Detroit, New York, Los Angeles, inciting large-scale arrests and sympathy marches.
I'm very aware of that, Mr. Hoover. What I do know is nonviolent. What I need to know right now, what's Martin Luther King about to do next?
Mr. President, Dr. King is here.
Mr. President, in the South, there have been thousands of racially motivated murders.
We need your help, Dr. King. This thing's just gonna have to wait. It cannot wait. You got one big issue, I got 101.
Summer it is.
Here is the next great battle.
Selma's the place, and they ready.
Dr. King.
I tell you, that white book in here.
We will not tolerate agitators attempting to orchestrate a disturbance in this state. It is unacceptable that they use their power to keep us voiceless. Those that have gone before us say no more.
People actually say they're gonna kill our children. They're trying to get inside of your head.
What happens when a man stands up, says enough is enough?
We build a path as we can, rock by rock.
The seal is probably bugged.
It probably is.
We must march. We must stand up.
You march those people into rural Alabama, it's gotta be open season.
May I have a word?
There's no word to be had.
There's 70 million people watching. These pictures are going around the world.
We must make a massive demonstration. White, black, and otherwise. Come to self.
I heard about the attack of innocent people. I couldn't just stand by.
Looks like an army out there.
This revolution goes on and on. This revolution goes on and on.
I've seen the glory. Hallelujah.
What happens when a man stands up, says enough is enough?
African American and female, directed a historical based film in about 1965, Selma to Montgomery Voting Rights March, led by Martin Luther King and many others. The film features history interpreted through the eyes of the people. Starring in the film, none other than our own Oprah Winfrey, along with many others. It was officially released on January 9th of this year and has 4 Golden Globe nominations for Best Motion Picture, among other things. Have you ever been to Selma? Anyone been to Selma? I have. In 1964, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. accepted the Nobel Peace Prize. 4 African American girls were killed walking to church. Annie Lee Cooper attempts to vote in Selma and is prevented by doing so by a white registrar. At this time, African American people actually had to pay to vote in some instances. Dr. King meets with Lyndon B. Johnson and asks for federal legislation to allow black citizens to register to vote. Johnson says he has more important things to do. King travels to Selma with many other African American officials. Many obstacles are placed in their way, such as Alabama's Governor George Wallace speaking against the movement. White Americans decide to join the movement. King delivers a speech on the steps of the state capitol. He concludes by stating that equality for African Americans is approaching. Now let me tell you a little bit about Selma. Selma is a small southern town in the Dallas County of Alabama. It's located on the banks of the Alabama River with a population of 20,756 according to the 2010 census. Do you guys know how many people we have in Laredo? How many people do we have in Laredo? We have 260,000. So this town is a lot smaller than Laredo. History was written in blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after a grand dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. Do you know what the Ku Klux Klan is? Does everybody know the Ku Klux? Okay, just making sure. I do. I used to live in Indiana, and they are there, alive, well, and kicking, and I could tell you many stories about that. After the March on Selma, Congress passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, supported and signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. That is history. Now let's look at one of the ladies of Black history, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Gail Winfrey was born January 29th, 1954. She is an American media proprietary, talk show host, actress, producer, and philanthropist. She is best known for her multi-award-winning talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, which had the highest rating of its kind in its history of nationally syndicated shows between 1986 and 2011. Has anyone seen Oprah's show? No? Okay. Dubbed the Queen of Media, she is ranked the richest African American of the 20th century, the great Black philanthropist in American history, and currently is North America's only Black billionaire. According to some assessments, she is the most influential woman in the world. Although I personally have not met Oprah, I've had the awesome opportunity of meeting her boyfriend, Stedman Graham, at an event that we had at Delphi Corporation, where I used to work for 36 and a half years before I retired. I even got to sit next to him and introduce him. By the way, in 1986, Oprah became the first African American woman to host a nationally syndicated show. She's history. Now, let me tell you about a gentleman, also African American, that has made history. Who do you think I'm talking about? King? Yeah, King did. I am going to talk about him, but just a little bit later. This guy's a little bit younger. Barack Hussein Obama. You know him? The second. He's the 44th and current president of the United States. He's the first African American to hold this position. He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he is a graduate of Columbia University and Harvard Law School. He was a community organizer in Chicago before he earned his law degree. He also worked as a civil rights attorney. He served 3 terms representing the 13th District of the Illinois Senate from 1997 to 2004. In 2004, Obama received national attention during his campaign to represent Illinois in the United States Senate with his victory in the March Democratic Party primary. His keynote address, however, at the National Democratic Convention was absolutely spectacular, and his election to the Senate. He began his presidential campaign in 2007 against Hillary Rodham Clinton and won the presidential nomination. I remember the keynote address and the presidential campaign like it was yesterday. As I watched him deliver his keynote address at the Democratic National Convention primary, I remember thinking, wow, where has this young man been? I was extremely impressed. As I watched the presidential campaign wind down and thought maybe he may have won, but maybe he did not, and I was getting tired, I couldn't believe my ears and eyes. My husband, who happens to be Caucasian and a staunch Republican, had gone to bed. He was not happy with the prospect of him winning. I was ready to tuck myself in as well, but my brother called me, letting me know he got it. History was made. I was elated. Now, I did not go to the inauguration, but I have a multi-million-dollar brother, and he went. So I got to live it vicariously through him. Before Oprah, there was Rosa Parks. Do any of you know Rosa Parks? You recognize that name? Okay. Rosa Parks was an African-American civil rights activist. She was born on February 2nd, 1913. She died October 24th, 2005. She's called the First Lady of Civil Rights and the Mother of the Freedom Movement by the United States Congress. Her birthday, February 4th, and December 1st, which is the day that she got arrested, have both been deemed Rosa Parks Day in the state of California and Ohio. Her real claim to fame, however, happened on December 1, 1955, before any of you were thought of, and your parents, in Montgomery, Alabama, when Miss Parks refused to obey a bus driver's order to give her seat in the colored section to a white passenger. Parks' act of defiance started the Montgomery bus boycott and became very important symbols in the modern civil rights movement. Finally, an African American that preceded Obama and changed all of our lives is Dr. Martin Luther King. And I think you know who he is, right? Martin Luther King. Dr. King was an American Baptist minister, activist, humanitarian, and leader of the African American movement. He was born January 15th, 1929, and he died April 4, 1968. He would have been 86 if he had lived today. He is best known for his role in the advancement of civil rights and his use of nonviolent civil disobedience based on his Christian belief. He helped organize the 1963 March on Washington, where he delivered his infamous "I Have a Dream" speech. Have any of you heard that one? Okay. A national holiday, which we just celebrated, was established in his honor. It is now a federal holiday in 1986. And just a little side note, I'll tell you about that. When I first moved here to Laredo, of course it wasn't even being celebrated as much up north, but I worked in Mexico and people didn't celebrate it. I thought, oh, wow, that's interesting, because where I was, specifically people around me, we made sure that we didn't work in honor of him. The Martin Luther King Memorial Statue is on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and it was dedicated in 2011. As I travel the United States, and I've been blessed to travel a lot, many cities have streets, names, avenues after Dr. Martin Luther King. I remember when he was killed, because I'm an old lady. I was a junior in college. Dr. Carter Woodson chose the second week of February for Negro History Week. This is why we honor Black history in February today. He chose that day because of two great men, Frederick Douglass. Do you guys know Frederick Douglass? Have you heard of him? He was a slave. And you've heard of Abraham Lincoln, right? Surely, one of our former presidents. The event grew to the Black History Month in 1976 and has been celebrated by every U.S. president since. And this is an interesting fact. I actually didn't know this one as I was researching to speak to you. Other countries around the world, including Canada and Great Britain, also devote a month to Black history. Did you know that? Okay. As I close, let me share a few firsts with you. George Washington Carver was a developer of 300 derivative products from peanuts. Among them, cheese, milk, coffee, flour, ink, dyes, plastics, wood stains, soap, linoleum, medicinal oils, and cosmetics. Did you know that? Vanessa Williams was the first Miss America that was African American in 1984. Everyone, do you know Tiger Woods? Heard that name? He was the first African American golf champion. Colin Powell has been the U.S. Secretary of State and Joint Chiefs of Staff, both positions, first as an African American. Jackie Robinson was the first Major League Baseball player. And the first star of a network television show was Bill Cosby, although the recent accusations against him are very sad. There are many, many more, but I thought I would just give you a few of the first. I don't want to bore you. But let me tell you, I've been blessed as well to have several firsts. My birth mom, because I'm adopted, was the first African American graduate of the University of Minnesota. My parents were the first African American missionaries for the Church of God movement, which is a Caucasian movement, out of Anderson, Indiana. I was the first track star, and I broke records, although my granddaughter tells me I don't look like it. And I said, well, that was a long time ago. And chair of the cheerleaders at my private American school, high school that I attended in India. I also was the first African American cheerleader for my college, and they told me I would never win it. It was my church college, Church of God, and it was predominantly Caucasian, but I did. I was the first African American Tri-Heart Sweetheart, which is a club that was all Caucasian. I was the first African American female supervisor for General Motors, and I was the first African American female buyer for General Motors at the division where I worked. I was the first African American and female on staff for the Mexican operations when I moved here to Laredo, Texas, for General Motors and Delphi, located in Laredo and Nuevo Laredo. I used to work in Nuevo Laredo. There are many, many more, but that's enough. I don't want you to think I'm bragging. In the words of my dear father, a wonderful Christian man, no longer here with us on earth, we are all God's children. Thank you for honoring Black History Month and having me here today as your speaker.